And here we go.
All right.
Welcome back. DevOpsSpeakeasy at DevNexus in person. This is so good. There are people here. Folks, online, you're missing out. There are actual human beings here. Like a lot of people. And this is awesome. And yeah, and one of the awesome people here is Eric. Very nice to meet you, Eric.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again, Baruch.
And by the elephant, that's Gradle.
Yeah.
Eric is with Gradle, and we're going to talk about one of the awesome features in Gradle Enterprise, and that's the ability to only run the right tests from your entire test suite, right? So usually the way it works is you have a bunch of tests, and you should, and we just spoke with all the test containers you should use to write as many unit and enterprise tests as possible, because this is what gives you like your this is how you're sure that when you change something, everything works or doesn't work the way it should. And then your build takes forever because you have that many tests. And this is like conflictive incentive.
Right.
From one side, you want to have as much test as possible. From the other side, your build starts to be slower and slower when you add more tests, and then you ask yourselves, you know what, maybe I should write less tests. We don't want that. And looks like those are just opposite incentives that Gradle solved in some magical way.
Oh, yes, magical. Yes, it's not statistical. All right, so tests are expensive. They statistically take up the majority of build times when a developer makes a code change, and they want to know, is it good? Did I break anything else, right? So you can get so far with parallelization and with caching and those kinds of things, but sometimes that breaks down. And it breaks down when, like, let's say you change a library dependency, or you change, I don't know, like any small thing that, like a small code change that's quite distant from all your integration tests. And unfortunately, in those cases, you have to run all the tests. The system doesn't know which tests are relevant to what's been changed. So run all of them. Well, so Facebook had this idea to use machine learning to avoid the vast majority of tests at Facebook and say, let's run just what's statistically relevant. What are the tests that are most likely to give you good signal on your code changes? This is different from, say, incremental testing. Incremental testing is running all tests that are statically or dynamically linked to a given change. So, like, you can imagine all the test classes and everything. This is not that.
But incremental testing sounds like a solution to this problem, but it's actually not perfect.
Right. Yeah. Because the problem is that you make a change in a library dependency, and your integration tests, your end-to-end tests, your browser tests, they don't know. It's like it's dynamically linked transitively, very far away though, right? But yet you still want to save that time, and you want fast feedback on those changes. So what do? We've figured out a way to basically take Facebook's research on their predictive test selection system and apply it to Gradle and Maven builds to say, okay, you've made changes to some small part of your code base. Which integration tests, which unit tests are relevant to run that will give you like over 99% confidence that your change is good, but run a minority of tests, right?
That sounds like magic to me. How do you know?
How do we know? Okay, well, first of all, you have to know the code changes, right?
Right.
So Gradle and Maven, they take a snapshot of your file system and say, here are the inputs to your tests. Here are the source files, here are the tests, here's your database scripts or whatever, right? And we can basically infer what has changed recently since the last time these tests run.
Right.
And we also know the recent history of these tests. Like, have they recently failed? Are they flaky? Like, do they take a long time? And if you combine that information, then you can basically construct a machine learning model that uses that information to make a statistical prediction, right, about which tests are correct. And this is what Facebook's been doing. Some other Silicon Valley companies have been doing. What we want to do is we take their research and we have our own little innovations, but then we want to give it to everyone, right? So that's the point. That's one of the strategies that we want to help folks apply to make their builds faster. You can parallelize your build, you can use caching, you can analyze your slowest tests, but then after that, you want to be able to just use, basically figure out, just run the relevant tests. That's it, right? So this is kind of a new thing we've been developing for a couple of years now. We have some beta customers who are very happy with it, and we want to start rolling this out to everyone.
That's pretty amazing.
You'll see very soon.
How do I try it? How do I get access to actually see that in action?
So, a couple ways. So first of all, before you even try it, Gradle Enterprise, we host Gradle Enterprise instances for major open source projects like Spring, JUnit, Micronaut. You can go to those websites. Go to ge.micronaut.org, I think, right? And you can click on the Predictive Test Selection tab, and it will tell you, here is how Micronaut could use predictive test selection, right? So you can see, before you even do anything with Gradle, like what Micronaut and Spring folks, what they do. And then, if you're like, oh, this sounds awesome, I want to try this out, then what you can do is you sign up for a free Gradle Enterprise trial, and what it will do is it will collect your build information for 30 days, a couple months, and it will train a machine learning model automatically for you. And while it's doing that, it will compare the actual test results to what the machine learning model would have predicted, and tell you, if you use predictive test selection for this custom set of builds, here's how much time you would save, here's how many possibly test failures you might miss. You can take a look at each of those builds and say, oh, like, was this test failure actually due to your database being down? Or was it flaky? Then the machine learning model actually didn't make a mistake, and flakiness makes prediction really hard. So we have to have some special strategies for handling flakiness. And so you use this simulator to basically figure out how well it's going to work for you. Then if you want to take it further, you actually enable the thing. And you run your builds, and what it will do is your build will contact your Gradle Enterprise server, which will make a prediction and send it back to you within milliseconds. The prediction contains, here's the tests to run and why. It tells you, I selected test A because it recently failed. I didn't select test B because it recently passed for similar inputs. The interpretable bit is one of our innovations, which is really key to maintaining developer trust. You're skipping tests. This is scary, right?
So this is what I feel like. I'm scared. Because there is some magic going on. You select a bunch of tests for whatever reasons, and I'm not sure. I need to trust you that you selected the right ones. So the whole idea of I have tests and they give me safety, and like suddenly I'm again on shaky grounds because now I'm dependent on your selections on which test to run. How do we build this trust? How do I know that I can trust your model to run the right tests?
So first of all, the simulator, since it compares actual results to what the model would have selected, would tell you with reasonable accuracy, like whether the system will work for which Gradle tasks or Maven goals, right? Then, when you enact the thing, build scans will tell you like which tests were selected and why, and you can take a look at the history and say, okay, well this test, it recently failed, like the predictions, like the model's actually doing the right thing here. You can kind of apply it to your low risk projects and builds. So first of all, you start with like your local builds, right? You just want fast feedback, and then when you merge the change, you run all the tests. You don't use test selection on your release builds or in your release pipeline. You maintain good quality by continuously running. You run all the tests periodically when you merge, But before you merge, you get fast feedback.
Right.
You know, and
Yep.
feedback that you can be quite highly confident in. So, you know, those kinds of things. One more thing that we do to kind of help establish trust is that users can configure which tests are eligible for test selection.
Oh, so this is, I guess, this is where.
So you choose already which builds
yes.
use test selection, but you can also say, hey, any test annotated with a certain annotation, any test or a test filter, like if you want all tests with like **important test to always be selected by the model, you have that option also.
Yes.
So you have full control and transparency in the whole process, so that you were doing this, but we're doing it in a very rigorous way, so that like every step it's proven, you can trust that this is going to do the right
and
thing.
Then
the
you
overall
can scale back from once you build this trust and you have this confidence, you can start like enforcing less and trusting more.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. That's the whole point. And the machine learning model keeps learning. So every time you do a build, it learns from every new test result, like what the related sources were. Whether a test is flaky, like it learns. It continues to learn and improve over time. Also, so like, and the model itself gains confidence and it selects fewer tests over time.
This is awesome. Learning more, should go to Gradle.
Just go to Gradle.com.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy to there will be some banners and things like that. Some announcements coming out pretty soon about the general availability of this technology.
Very cool.
Right now it's in private beta, but pretty soon it'll be opened up to everyone. And
if you're here at DevNexus, just hit Gradle booth.
The Gradle booth is right in the back.
Eric will show you the goods.
I will show you the goods. I'm happy to explain the model to you. Yeah, hope you're interested. Yeah.
This is great. Eric, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Everybody check Gradle Enterprise and the new ability to run only the right tests with machine learning
predictive test selection.
And some magic that you can control and trust. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Baruch.
Thank you.